Alrighty, welcome back everybody to the 12th, aka the 3-month mark of our project development course, the Tech Bytes program, where we're going every single Wednesday of this year 2021, working and making our way on a project. As you guys all know, we've completed 2 big projects so far, the first one being Mastermind, the second being our tic-tac-toe in a graphical interface type of game. Now, with this last month of April, we're going to keep on making our way on a project we unveiled last week, talking more about that and actually starting to code and document some pieces out today. So as always, thank you guys for coming through, and let's get started without any further ado. And you guys know how we're going to start off. It's been a trend which has been set the past couple of weeks. Chase, what is it called? Quote wars, right? You guys know who we are, guys. My name is Ryan. You can see my tone in high school. And today's quote is from a guy we've talked about before. That being, actually awesome who that guy is. But the quote is, if debugging is a process of removing bugs, then programming is the process of putting them in. Now, guys, we've seen this firsthand, right? We're making a project, something usually doesn't go our way the first time. We have to go back, see what the error is, and that happens when we're coding the first time. So programming and debugging, you guys have probably realized now as well, they go hand in hand. If you're programming, you are going to be making bugs appear, and at the end of the day, you got to be ready to go back and take those bugs out. Is my audio fine? Guys?
It's a bit cracking.
Okay, give me one second.
And he disappears. No, no, no.
Hello,
he comes back. Okay.
Any better?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you for letting me know, guys. Yeah. All right, and so that's the quote. Anybody remember who this guy is? You saw
Extra.
I do.
All right,
Extra.
anybody remember when we talked about this guy? You know, in the past, maybe with a project or with Cough Cough, we talked about a mastermind initiative. With algorithm programming, I think it was. We talked about this guy. He made something.
Didn't he make like
Discord?
No, I think he made the whatchamacallit, the special thing for pathfinding that they use for like the Google Maps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember
that?
Is that it wasn't like Dijkstra's Avenue or algorithm?
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of you an example with the pathfinding. We saw we could place blocks, obstacles, go around it. So yeah, that's awesome. Remember, so that's the guy, and he has this quote. And I'm sure when making that algorithm, he faced countless obstacles as well.
Yep. And guys, sorry for this time, but I was not able to come up with a new quote. But in my defense, there are some people here who haven't seen this quote before. So I'll just reiterate that. So what this basically says is to be or not to be, but instead of saying it in the English language, it says it in a coding language because the double lines are represent or, and then the exclamation point represents the not. So it's to be or not to be, which is a famous quote from Shakespeare. So yeah.
Alrighty, so that's the daily dose, guys, of cool.
I am myself. I'm fine now.
Oh, it looks like Rayan is the winner today.
Sorry, Lobdy, but I gotta go with Rayan because he had an actual physical quote.
Yep, I understand.
That expression is pretty good too. Well, more to come next week on algorithm programming, then stay tuned for that. But now let's get towards you guys. I'm pretty sure everybody here can confirm that they are all good.
By the way, what do you call it? The video for algorithmic programming, I don't think it has sound. Pretty sure because mine did not have sound for some reason.
The YouTube video?
Oh.
Yeah.
That is something I will check out. All right, so let's get on with our agenda for today, guys. That obviously being working on our project, which we introduced last week, called this. It's a quiz game, right? It's a skilled quiz game where we're going to be having questions and people are going to be able to input answers. Now, this isn't just any old quiz game which we're making. We're actually focusing this time more on the programming aspect of how efficiently we're able to make a project. And in order to do that, we learned about something very special last week, which we'll be covering more about today.
Yep. And just like Rayan said, this project may seem pretty simple. We're just creating a bunch of questions with correct answers, which the user will try to guess or try to solve. But we're going to be applying this new concept that we learned last time. Now, I'm going to keep that a kind of a mystery until the next slide, but just giving you guys a chance to oh, okay. Yeah, so last time we learned about classes and objects. That's the thing. We gave a really nice example about cars and the different types of cars with different models, all of that. And another example that we coded was a person and their age, their height, and all of that. And before we do go forward and try to apply those classes in the quiz project, let's just recap it one more time.
Yep, and we do have some questions about not knowing how to code and coming for some people in the first time here. Guys, you can visit our YouTube channel, the Schaumburg Library, the playlist we have from week 1, starting out very basic, what coding is, and if you want, you can even go back last year where we teach how to code. Product development is more of a course where we're learning how to apply our coding skills. Yep, and like Amelia is saying, you can join our Google Classroom. There's a ton of information available there as well if you want to get started on learning the basics. But if you have a question, you can always ask us, unmute, or message me or lobby. But like Lobby was talking about, getting back to today's idea about classes and objects, before we get to what they are and us explaining what they are, does anybody from last week have any ideas, any things they remember?
I wasn't there, so.
I mean, wait, last class about what?
Remember last week we talked about what these two words mean, a class and object, and how we're going to use it.
Yeah, so classes, I'm just going to use last time's example. So you have this basic thing, but I'm just going to change it up a bit. But you have a basic template, basically. That's a class. So like the class is a basic template and the objects are like the different variations. For example, like if you get a car, like in Honda, how they make like the Accord, right? So basically there's different models. Like we have the sport model of the Accord. There's a regular citizen model. There's other models, like and then there's just a bunch of other templates that are inside that class. So for example, sedan could be a class, and then the objects could be like a Mercedes sedan, Honda sedan, Hyundai sedan, like that.
Exactly, Rishi, great. Anybody else want to add anything?
About summed it up, so I'm not really sure there's anything else to add.
You can repeat what Rishi said if you would like.
Everything he said. Too much information. Brain malfunctioning, gears tightening.
Well, yep, like the Rishi guys was talking about, he hit the nail on the head. Like you said, classes are, we like to refer to as a blueprint, to the templates of what we can create. And then objects are the actual declaration. They're that actual thing which we have, like Rishi said, the variations of different ways we can use the class. And Rishi even used our example.
The car and the different types of cars that you can make out of it. So let's say a car is our class. A car has different attributes like horsepower or the model or which company it is. And then those different attributes define each object. So for example, let's annotate this Mercedes model. Suppose it's a Mercedes Benz. It has, I don't know, some number of horsepower. It has 4 wheels. Now, suppose just hypothetically, this BMW has 2 wheels or something. Then that's a different attribute, but both of them have this characteristic of a wheel. That's why they both come from the same class, which is a car. So, oh, okay, 167 horsepower. Cool.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so that is a top level overview of a class. And now we're going to actually apply that, that idea into today's code that we're going to code when we create the quiz project. And before we do start coding the class, we'll just document the steps that are needed to actually code it. We usually do this for every project. Like first, step 1 is to, I guess, create the class. Step 2, do this. And we're just going to document that. So it's not part of the code. It's just planning. It's the planning phase for us. But
So without any further ado, let's get to it.
yeah, see you next week, guys. Bye. Okay.
Best class ever, shortest class too. Bye.
All right. So here I have a Replit. And I'm going to share it with you guys. Copy this. And paste it in chat. All right, so for those of you who are new, just if you click on this link, this works exactly like Google Docs. So you'll see what I print or type out over here on your screen. All right, so as I said, before we do start creating the class, we will basically document what we will need to code basically in the next few weeks. So a quiz game, what does it mean? It means that we'll have to need questions with different prompts and different answers. And finally, a type of code or some code that goes through each question, asks the question, takes the answer, checks it, and then goes on to the next question. So I guess step 1, let's comment this out before starting the line. Step 1 would be create the class. Now, I've been saying that we're going to create a class in this quiz game, but does anyone know, or does anyone have a hunch? What are we going to create a class of? So like people, computers, cars?
Maybe like the class of the answers.
That's a close guess. Anyone else?
Class of input.
Amelia in the chat is saying questions.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah, so Rishi, you were close. Instead of a class of answers, we're going to kind of go to the higher level and just create a class of questions. So by creating a class of questions, we'll have different attributes in that class, which I will go in depth later on. So that's the step 1, create a class of questions. Now step 2, we have to actually create or initialize objects from that class. So step 2, all right, so after we do initialize objects from the question class, so in other words, once we have a list or array of questions, all we need to do is use a for loop. So in step 3, use, or let's just say some sort of loop. We'll keep that for another day. Some sort of loop to go through the questions. And check the inputs, user inputs. Let's just say that. All right. And once we do that, the last part would be just to print out the final score. Because of course, what's the use of giving a quiz without getting back our scores? So let's just say step 4 and comment that out. All right, so that's our plan. And today we're going to tackle this first step. Now, again, just to reiterate, what we did right now was just document stuff, basically like annotate or write notes on what we're gonna actually code. And these lines don't really matter. If I run, nothing's gonna run except for this part because I haven't commented that out. So nothing's gonna output. And what we're gonna code right now will start to output things. Okay, so step 1. Ooh, wow. I am so proud of you guys. Go ahead, go ahead. Okay, yeah. So let's just take the S out because it's just a question class. Okay, so instead of blah, blah, blah inside that question class, we're going to have to initialize some variables. Okay, let's not. Okay, so def underscore underscore. Oh my God. Okay, hold up. Init. And inside this function, we're going to first have a self parameter. And we'll have a couple of other parameters later on, but let's just have this for now. So we have this class and we have this initializer function. This function basically runs every time someone creates an object. So what attributes of a question do we need in a single object? I'll start. We'll need a question prompt. So let's just say question prompt. And what else do we need for a question?
Oh, I know.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Thought you were saying something else.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking that answer?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. So the other thing that we need to pass in is the answer, because those are the two parts of a question. So once we do pass in those two parameters, we're going to set self.question is equal to what we passed in here. So question prompt. And same thing with the answer. So self.answer is equal to the answer that we passed in. So this basically just creates two variables in this object that we will create later on that I can then access anytime. So that's it for actually creating the class. Pretty easy. But let's just test this part out to make sure that our class works. So let's say we initialize a question. Let's see, variable or question 1 is equal to question, and inside that, so what do we want the prompt to be? Some math equation. What is 1 plus 1? What is 1 plus 1, guys?
I know.
I don't know. It's so too hard. It's too hard.
Error cannot compute. Error cannot compute.
Too hard. There's a pun not intended right there. Okay. Yeah. So the question is this string, and the answer is this string. Now, all I did was create an object from this class that we initially just defined. And now our code has this object variable already, which we can access later on. So suppose after after creating the object, I want to say I print out, let's see, question 1 dot. Let's say I want to print out the question. Then that's it. If I just say question 1, which is the variable that I created, dot question, it's going to give me whatever I passed in through the question and whatever I set to self.question, which is what I passed in. So basically, it should give me 1 plus 1. Now let's see if it does. And it does. Let's go. Okay. Make sure we don't type any English in here, because the language that we are working with is Python and not English. These IDEs can be very dumb sometimes. Actually, they are dumb. The only smart people are the coders, so they will not understand English, and they'll give you errors like this. It said that I is not defined, so just making sure.
The IDEs are now crying.
Yes, I'm fine with that. So yeah, we printed out question 1 dot question, and it did print out the 1 plus 1 that we were trying to get. Now, if I say just one last thing, let's say I want to print out whether the answer that I put in, let's say our guess, not the answer, but our guess is equal to 3, let's say. And I just want to tell you guys that this is an integer. And with what we put in here, even though you see a 2, since it's inside the quotation marks, it's actually a string. So all I have to do is, I'm going to print whether. So if guess is equal to my question 1 dot, and then between the question and answer, I want the answer this time. And since this is a string, I'll just convert that to an integer, and that's really easy. Just put that inside parentheses and just throw in an int outside, and that is turned into an integer. So I'm going to see if my guess, which is a 3, is equal to the correct answer. And I printed that out.
I just wanted to ask, in the 4th line, init, is that supposed to be int?
Not quite, because this init, this actually represents initialize. This function runs when an object is initialized. So that's a cool like logic that you applied. But I used to think the same thing, that Python made a typo, but I actually learned like last year or so that it's actually close for or short for initializer. So yeah, let's just take a look.
Oh, by the way, it says syntax error.
Yeah.
Unexpected EOF while parsing for some reason.
Yep, so this is one of the things, like in the quote, guys, we're going to be debugging live. You know, it's part of the process. So let's take a look.
You know what I don't understand? It says the error is on line 31. The code ends on line 30.
All right, Replet's now it's not the program, it's Replet.
Yes, it is Replet. No.
Replet is going out.
Okay, so let's see if it's still there. Final. Oh, I don't understand.
It's still there.
Yes. What happens if we...
Oh, wait. I don't know what an EOF is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, you have to add the parenthesis.
Yeah, I'll just show everyone. So if you take a look, I actually opened up a parentheses, but I never closed it. So if you just follow them over here, this is one parentheses, I closed that. Then this is the second parentheses, I closed that. But what about this third parentheses? I forgot to close that, so I'm just gonna close that.
Yeah, because I was questioning myself because I didn't copy and paste it, but like I was typing it out and it came out right for me.
Oh.
Yeah, print out 1 false on the next line.
Yep. Yeah, that's basically because we forgot the parentheses. But yeah, so the reason why we got a false is because 3 is not equal to the correct answer, which is 2. And that's basically the logic that we will be using in step 3, actually. We just tested it out today to make sure that our class function works, or class works. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. Today we documented what the steps that we're going to take. We completed step 1, so I'm just going to comment that over here. Completed. Yeah, we completed step 1, and we are going to complete step 2 next time, which is just initialize a bunch of objects. So actually create a bunch of questions with answers, and then move on from there.
Exactly. So guys, this will lend itself to more ideas, which we can look, if you have time, looking at some, you know, like Lobby said, using multiple questions. If you hear the word multiple variables, we think of arrays. So that is something which we can look into as well. So there's a bunch of cooler things which we can do, but keep on making progress is the goal. That wraps us up for today, guys, for today's product development segment. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Stay excited for this Friday, a fun one. No video gaming hour this Friday, remember? So we'll catch you guys next Monday. Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye. Thank you for this class.